Oh gosh, we're live. Oh man, we are live. We're live to the whole world. This is nuts. We got Congo playing. Congo, 1995. Congo, 95. Let me check the VHS box. Congo, 1996. Congo. What if I just froze on my first stream and we just watched Congo for an hour and I just didn't say anything? Actually, a good movie. Actually, surprisingly good movie. And this is all new equipment, so I'm still trying to get, the levers ratcheted down. Yeah, won the Best Picture Academy Award in '96 when it came out. So popular, re-released, won it again then the very next year. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, underrated despite the Academy Award wins 2 years in a row. Underrated. Congo. This is fun. I'm actually not live. I'm just recording and I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to post it somewhere. Maybe YouTube. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got some stuff to record some stuff and we're going to see what happens. And I may occasionally hit the microphone and accidentally turn it off, and we're just going to push through. I'm not going to go back and fix anything. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm not going to re-record. We're just here to figure some things out, to figure things out about you, to figure things out about me and our bodies. And it's just going to be kind of intimate, and it's going to be special. And we're just going to proceed under a baseline understanding that within the year, we will all be the stilt people from Mad Max Fury Road. We will be the stilt people in the mud. This is everybody. This is, hold on. Probably going to fall down again, but I have this locker there, and it's just a big black edifice and an obelisk, and it needed to be broken up. So I put an old video game. No, don't even know what game that is. Just says sensory overload. Is that going to be the name of the show? Oh, that would be fun. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe. But we're just going to proceed by the end of this sentence. We will be by the end of this millisecond, we will all be the stilt people from Mad Max. This is happening very soon. But we're just gonna have fun despite that's where it's all clearly going. I'm just gonna record and we're going to see what happens. Look at that. Transitions. I set this all up. I don't know how it's going to go. We're out here playing the bongos, having fun. In a surprise win, Jason Statham's action thriller A Working Man topped the box office with $15.2 million in its opening weekend, beating Snow White. Here's the thing. This was a big surprise. Another big box office black eye for the Walt Disney Company. We're going to really get into on this show, using whole company names, and we're just going to kind of have the rhythm of the way you say these things. But here's the deal with Snow White. And I did print things off. I also have it on my giant bright monitor, which might actually be easier slightly for me to read that than to strain my eyes while wearing sunglasses in a dark room. After Sleepy 45 million start, Disney's live-action remake of the classic fairy tale has dropped to the number 2 spot with $14.2 million from 4,200 theaters. Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler as the eponymous princess, and Gal Gadot as Godot as the evil queen, has generated. Anyway, it was a big bomb. But here's the thing, Disney. I can talk you through this. We don't live in the woods anymore. This is the problem, is you keep putting the princesses in the woods. We don't live in the woods anymore. Most people don't. Most people live in neighborhoods and the suburbs, and it's just not as relatable. But the other issue is the dwarves. We aren't going to go out to see dwarves as enthusiastically as we would have 100 years ago. Many of us have dwarves in our lives. They're our friends. They're our family members. They're our lovers. They're our employers. They're our fitness partners. And the spectacle of dwarves is just not the box office draw it used to be. So, I mean, this is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to look at news stories and discuss. Pickpocket snatches nearly $5,000 from man inside NYC station. Report. The incident happened somewhere Rockefeller Center Station on Saturday. A pickpocket took nearly $5,000 in cash from an elderly man inside a Midtown subway station over the weekend, according to a report. The 89-year-old victim was going down the stairs at the station when an unidentified scamp, bumped into him and swiped his wallet containing $4,700 in cash and a debit card, the New York Post reported. Here's why this is happening. In the United States of America, we think of ourselves as an old civilization. We think of ourselves as old as the land. By the way, Congo. We got Congo playing. Good movie. Underrated movie. Came out, when did it come out? 90. I've checked the VHS box. 1996 Congo. Won Best Picture in 1996. I believe the Academy Award for Best Picture. Actually, 2 years in a row. They released it, won the Oscar, so popular, made so much money, they re-released it, and they gave it to it again, twice in a row. That's how good the movie is. So don't sleep on Congo. I mean, kind of underrated despite the 2 Academy Awards for Best Picture. What if I just lean back? I totally froze here having to talk, and we just watched Congo for 30 minutes. The pickpocket. And so here's why this thing, see, this is a different screen. I got boom, I got boom, I got boom. I mean, come on, guys. 89-year-old victim going down the stairs. Here's the thing. We think of the United States as an old society, and I don't know how far to be from the microphone. It's all new. I don't know. We think of it as an old society. We're actually not an old society. You compare us to London. You compare us to a gay Paris. You compare us to Rome. You compare us to any number of European capitals, and we're actually not that old society. We're actually fairly new. But the issue is, most of us in the United States, we live in places that are even more new than New York City. We live in the suburbs. In the year 2025, the over 8 out 99%. This is you can right now pause the video, go on Google, search it. Don't take my word for it. That's not what the show is about. Do not take my word for any. Trust but verify. In the year 2025, 99% of people born in the United States will be born on the floor of a Rite Aid pharmacy. 99% of the country will be born on the tiles of a Rite Aid pharmacy. Of those, that's 99%. Of the 99%, it's still like 89%. 89% of Americans will then be raised by the employees of an Olive Garden. And of those, 97% of those people born on the floor of a Rite Aid, screaming in the fluid on the floor, Rite Aid employees born that raised Olive Garden raised, they will then spend 30 years working at a Burger King. This is almost everybody in the country. This is like the average American story. If you had to distill it down, this is the experience. And so we go to New York City. I mean, we may as well be in Dracula's castle. It's old. There's cathedrals, there's statues, there's gargoyles. There's just the architecture itself is Gothic. It's Gotham City, the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, the Windy City, Sin City, the Emerald City, the Sunshine State, the New York City. And it seems very old because of your surroundings, but in fact, relatively not that old. We just live in places where if you go to any construction site anywhere in the rest of the country, and this is any state, and this is not like one state. Great scene in Congo, actually, when they're like the African warlords have them capture. There's some fun jokes in there. Go to the average construction site in any city, and there will be several hundred migrants, and they bring in cement, and they don't have traditional building materials. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to this stuff, but they don't use traditional building materials anymore. They bring in the cement mixers, they back them up, and it's not Play-Doh, but it's actually is from the Play-Doh factory, and it's colorless. But then they will dump out all the Play-Doh, and then they will open these big storage containers, and waves of African migrants like World War Z just clambering over each other will rush the Play-Doh mountains. And a lot of them come from, and they come from cultures where, there is some, it's not just Africans either. There's Australians as well in there. There's also, there's the Asians. A lot of the Asians, they double up. And so none of what I'm describing is actually as cruel, because with the Asians, they wear wicker baskets. So there's like the big Asian, and then there's like a little Asian inside the wicker basket, and they work together throughout the day on the construction site. But dump out the Play-Doh, and then they open the doors, and it's just a wave of humanity, beautiful, gorgeous humanity, glistening because of their time inside. And they rush the Play-Doh, and the bongo culture, but that's not everyone. And look, I'm not being offensive. I'm just explaining. This show's about explaining the reality of life in America in 2025, not the fantasy world you wish to live in. We are about telling truths here. And if you can't handle the truths, well then, I don't know what to tell you. But so they use these skills, boop, 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 but on a vertical axis, boop, 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 boop. And they all go like that to the Play-Doh, and that's how they construct the walls. Guys, I don't know, but this is this is how they construct the walls, is boop boop boop. And actually they get a lot of mimes too, so it's not just, it's the mimes as well as the Africans. And so there's a lot of people who have cause to make this motion, and it's those people, they kind of channel that energy and they focus it into a project. And like, that's the construction for most of the buildings that we live and we love, and we explore throughout our lives. And then we go to New York, and New York has these old buildings, and they're covered in soot, and not for nothing covered in soot. That's actually important here. And it seems like an old city, but it's not an old city. And you go to a real old city, like in London, England, and what do you find in London, England? You find a lot of pickpockets. London, England, during the fall and the winter months, just the average Joe Schmo off the street, 12 or 13-year-old boy, works as a chimney sweep. Again, verify these statistics, please. But the average boy works as a pickpocket, wears a top hat, walks around with works as a chimney sweep during the fall, winter months, top hat, brush, no shoes. You can actually be kicked out of the chimney sweep union in London, England, for putting shoes on. I've read the bylaws. You can be removed. So no shoes, and they scamper around, they go down the chimneys, they brush them out, a lot of soot. It's a whole city there's factories that actually they don't produce any goods or services. They spew soot in order to create like an ambiance for the city. And so these chimney sweeps, they get down there, brush, they get out, and this is how they spend the fall, winter months. Then spring and summer come along. What are these little urchins getting up to? What are the street urchins doing in the warmer months? I wonder. Well, what we all know is these little artful dodgers, the warm weather, the weather thaws out, and those hands get to flying. They start picking a pocket left and right. And you know what? It's very cute. It's a skill, and it's actually a learned discipline. It's a trade in London, England. It's passed down from artful dodger to artful dodger, generation after generation. They learn the trade of the picked pocket. And this is part of the culture. When you travel the world, guess what? You're going to encounter new cultures, and this is just one of the cultures out there, and you just got to deal with it. And if you lose a few bucks along the way, if you lose a few tuppence, well, that's how she goes, because it's just how they do things over in London, England. And so London, England's been around for thousands of years, since the Roman Empire. It's been around forever. New York City is not as old. And New York City has not had as much of a pickpocket problem in the past. They just haven't been around long enough for these urchins to figure out the highways and the byways, to dig out their tunnels, to get their cubbies, to scurry and scamper around and pick the pockets. But that is changing. New York City is not a completed city. It is a work in progress, like we all are. And it is allowed to evolve. It's allowed to have pickpockets now. It's allowed to have, and here's the issue. Guess what's been happening over the last 20 or 30 years while you've been asleep at the wheel watching Congo? Guess what's been happening? The newspaper business has been going under. Newspaper after newspaper has been shuttering in the United States of America. And do you know the number one profession for 12 and 13-year-old urchins in New York City? Number one profession. Can you guess what it is? I don't know if you can. I don't know if you're paying attention. You gotta get your head out of your butt. But the number one profession for 12 or 13-year-old urchins in New York City is a newsie. And the newsies, if you've ever been to New York City, you know who I'm talking about. They are on every street corner. These little guys just want to share the news. They are newspaper news. Hey, headlines here. Hey, read all about the news. This is what the newsies spend a lot of their life doing, and they do this year round. This is a multi-season. This is not a seasonal like tourist industry. I keep trying to move my chair forward. This isn't a seasonal thing. This is something they can do all the year round. And so, but as the newspaper industry has begun to sunset in the United States of America, there's a lot of little tykes who need a new way to earn some bucks, to earn some bubble gum, to earn some baseball cards, to earn some Cracker Jacks, to earn some jacks, the rubber balls with the jack. There's a lot that these newsies want, and they can't afford it if they're not selling newspapers. So to the pickpockets of New York, I say, welcome. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to New York City. Welcome to the American dream. Midwestern City, and I keep hitting the mic. I know I have no idea how this is going to sound. I can't even imagine what it's going to sound like. Midwestern City has its very own legendary creature that rivals Bigfoot, a 4-foot frog standing on 2 feet. Let's get into it. Again, I'm just straining, ruining my eyes to read this, and my eyes are going to take a beating. Most recordings, this is a bit of a different recording. Most recordings, I'm going to appear on camera, pancake makeup, up to an inch and a half of pancake makeup, covering me to a sharp cutoff right at my Adam's apple. Just a pancake makeup in my ears, caked all the way to the ears. And I'm just going to scream because I can't hear the volume because there's so much pancake makeup in the ears. It's going to be in my hair, and it's just thick pancake makeup all the way to my neck. And I'm going to have mascara, and I'm just going to start crying and weeping and scream crying. And that's going to be, this is a bit of a different one. You know, I put on Congo, we're doing some different things here, but most of these are going to be me scream crying, mascara, reapplying the mascara, scream crying until it's just streaked, more mascara, crying until I'm legally blind. And I've ruined my eyes. I'm just going to keep applying until I can't see, and I'm screaming and in pain, and I can't hear, and I'm dumb and deaf, and I'm a creature. I become a cave creature of torment. So that's going to be most of these, but this one, and so it's, this is going to be a moot point. That's, what I was saying. But this is going to be a moot point. I just dropped one because I'm not even going to be able to read. I'm not, and so I could just go like that and read off the monitor. Maybe we'll do that. I also don't know what height to be at, but Midwestern City has its very own legendary creature that rivals Bigfoot, a 4-foot frog standing on 2 feet. It was 1972 in a sleepy little Cincinnati suburb when a police officer noticed what appeared to be a 4 to 5 foot tall frog standing on its hind legs near the Little Miami River. Let's just kind of cut to the chase. Come on, this is a good time. So since the 70s, they've been seeing this thing in this little Midwestern town. I mean, this is fun. But, and then there's some odd quotes in this. I did read these. I'm not reading them for the first time. I'm doing research. I'm trying my best. And like this. The 2016 sighting of the Loveland Frogman. So there was quotes, people like, there's no evidence. Did you see the picture I saw? I'm seeing some evidence. This guy is real as the day is born. And because guess what? Human eyes, you know what human eyes don't do? This is an educational program too, because human eyes, they don't glow. So if you see something run across the road in front of you, and you think, okay, well, there was no eye shine. So that means if there was no eye shine and yet you saw it look at you, probably a human in a costume or just a person not in a costume. But I guess everyone's in a costume unless they're nude. But if you see eye shine, this is a non-human. And look, I'm seeing a lot of eye shine here. But here's the thing. Couple of years ago, had a work trip. I went down to Disney World and I went 2 days early. And I went both days to Disney's Hollywood Studios. I bought one ticket per day. Both tickets were to Disney Hollywood Studios. I walked there in the morning. I went directly to Star Wars Land. I rode each of the rides one time. I did not build the lightsaber. I did not get a table for one in the cantina. I did drink 12 blue milks that each had maybe like a quarter of a shot of vodka. So you do the math. I had like 3 shots of vodka and did all the Star Wars rides, the Star Tours, the Millennium Falcon, the one with the crappy sequel characters, which was an amazing ride. I had a good time. And I did this alone, which isn't sad. And I did this, and was my takeaway from Star Wars Land in Orlando, Florida. We are moments from death as a society. We are a level of obese in 2025 that threatens not only our own lives, but it threatens like the crust of the earth. Like we are a level of fat and disgusting and obese. You couldn't walk. You could not walk for jazzy mobility scooters. It was thick with jazz, like lice upon the carcass of a mule deer found in the woods. Jazzies in all directions. The young on jazzies, the old on jazzies, the middle-aged on everyone. Jazzy mobility scooters. And not because they bumped their legs playing basketball. This was a jazzy mobility scooters of just flesh and obesity. And it was alarming to say the least. It was I mean, yeah, obviously it was kind of interesting and obviously it was kind of appealing in some ways. It made me kind of feel good about myself. But the reality is, this is what the average American looks like in the year 2025. This is what most of us look like. And in fact, the Jazzy Mobile, Jazzy is kind of like the Kleenex or the Xerox. It's the brand that became the general product because it's just so ubiquitous. And Jazzy's very well built pieces of technology. However, a lot of people don't know this. The horns on Jazzy's go out very often. And so what I was seeing is that everybody's on a Jazzy except me, and the horns aren't working, but there's it's like being in Mumbai. It is just a weaving and a whirling and an energy, and there's some beeps, some of the newer Jazzies, but a lot of the Jazzies have gone out. So what people were doing was, with their jowls, they were literally croaking and inflating their jowls. And so I was in Star Wars land, and I got up on a bench and I looked out, and you could see at any one time, you could see 80 to 100 people just inflating, literally inflating in order to communicate. And like people who, like, a lot of parties, like, they wear matching t-shirts so they can look, oh, hey, there's hey, hey. But these people literally, no, in order to find their groups, inflating, ooh, 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 and we're communicating with guttural utterances. It was it was primal, it was intoxicating, it was may have been erotic. I don't know, because actually what happens, you get to a certain level of your flesh, and you form different pheromones, you form different glands, you have different sacs, and you have different equipment. And so, for all, I don't know, if I think mostly it was like, hey, we're going over to the Waffle House, the waffle place. Hey, we're going to buy Minnie Mouse ears. But some of it could have been actual mating calls. But yeah, I just stood up there and, like, I just watched, and it was just undulating. So, you know, this is a fun idea, is that this creature actually exists out there in this Midwestern town. But color me skeptical, because I don't know. There's a bit of a weight problem in the United States. All right. Okay. All right. Go to the next one. Okay. Farewell junk food. Mexico bans sale of salty and sweet treats in schools to fight child obesity. So I don't know if any of you have been down to the border since Trump was elected, but down at the border, what they've opted to do is, you probably saw, there used to be like these steel walls that you couldn't actually climb, or they was very difficult to climb. They were supposedly unclimbable, but people were tunneling under, and they're very good at tunneling, incidentally. And by the way, there's synergy there. The Mexican tunnelers maybe link up with the pickpockets, because tunnels are a big part of the pickpocketing. But anyway, down at the border right now, what they've done is they have constructed, like, if you've been to McDonald's lately, you'll notice that there's no more Playplaces. A lot of people have complained about this. They think that this is actually, the sad industrial march of modernity. This is just brutalism writ manifest within our happy fast food establishments of yesteryear. Gone are the golden arches. Gone are the garish cartoon characters, and now it's all just gray and dehumanizing and depressing. And this is because They want to destroy beauty and want to destroy uniqueness. They want you to be depressed because they actually do want you on pharmaceuticals, and they actually do want to establish a one world government, and they actually do want to control your life, and they want to take away those little moments. But that's actually not what's going on. What's going on is they had to requisition that. The United States government, they didn't have the materials to build the wall. Most of what we do in construction these days, again, the putty and the putty and the migrants. That's most construction projects. And so what they had to do is they actually had to tear out all the play places nationally, and they had to drop them right down the border. They just basically daisy chained like a loose perimeter of McDonald's play places. And because of this, the main obstacle to getting into the United States now is monkey bars, ball pits, slides, rope ladders, and all of this is a bit of a workout. And so Mexico, in their wisdom, is fighting back. You can see that their kids, like ours, they love their frittadas. Frittadas is what they call a Cheeto, is a frittadas. And their kids are a bunch of little fatties. And like our kids, like our everyone. Now, I don't know if they do the croaking or I think there is some croaking. I just don't think it's as pronounced. I think they kind of have they do a lot with like uh but anyway, that I think that's what's going on here is they're trying to get their kids in shape because they're coming to America and everybody's got to be healthy to get over the border. It's sort of like a American Ninja Warrior. If you've ever seen that show, that's what they got set up down in the southern United States right now in order to secure the border. Lastly, satanic leader arrested after Black Mass. Scuffle at Kansas State House. Black Mass. A despicable act. Yeah, counter-protesters sang hymns outside the Kansas State House and urged Satanists to accept Jesus. A leader of a Satanist group and 3 others were arrested Friday after a fight broke out inside the Kansas State House after the leader allegedly tried to hold a black mass in the rotunda. Michael Stewart, head of the Kansas City area Satanic Grotto, was arrested after video showed him punching a counter-protester who tried to take his script. Kansas Highway Patrol officers tackled and handcuffed him as he yelled, "Hail Satan." He was later released on $1,000 bond for disorderly conduct and unlawful assembly. And here he is. This is the guy right there. So here's the thing. At my high school, we had a couple of Satanists. And the thing with Satanists is they do have a kryptonite. These people are defeatable. What you got to do is you got to ignore them. This is the only way to defeat a Satanist, is just to put on your hater blockers and ignore them. Satanists, you may not know this, but it's actually a subspecies. The general species is a Goth. The Goths are the overall the genus. That's the species. Then you have like the mutations, the variants, if you will, of like Satanists, and you've got like emo kids, and you've got like, you know, people who are really into Rick and Morty and wear pajama pants at Walmart and have blue hair and wear Crocs to the pharmacy and are generally kind of overweight. And like there, you'd have like those sub genre, but all of these people, everyone from the Goth species, they all spawn in at the exact same place. You may not know this, but they all spawn in at Hot Topics. So Hot Topics is a place to buy novelty t-shirts. A lot of them, you'll see them wear the shirt. I laugh at you because you laugh at me because I'm different. I laugh at you because you're all the same. Badass. And they wear this shirt, and then they also wear like a Harley Quinn shirt, or they might wear like a weed flower shirt with, or they might wear like a what's the girl, the bad girl with the dead eyes, who looks like young, but she's like dresses like a wigger from the 90s. What's her name? They might wear a shirt with that girl, whatever her name is. And they wear different shirts, but they sell lots of shirts at Hot Topic, and that's where they buy them. But in those shirt racks at the Hot Topic, in that little space that when you were shopping with your mom when you were a kid at Marshall's or TJ Maxx, you could fit in that little space and you could grab their hand, or you could pickpocket. A little tip for you kids in New York. And but that actual space that we used to play in to play hide and go seek, or to hide from our mothers when we were shopping, that's literally where they spawn into reality. All of the goths, every type, whether it's a Satanist goth or it's more of like a rapcore goth, someone who sort of likes hip hop but also wears eyeliner, all those people, they spawn in the exact same place in those shirt racks, and then they appear and they come fully formed. So this guy, like with the wire mustache and the Morpheus sunglasses, I mean, he came out of that shirt rack whole cloth. So they all spawn in at the same place, and then they leave from there and they go to different high schools, they go to different shopping malls. This one went out to they have a grotto that a lot of them assemble at as sort of a reconnoitering before then going out elsewhere. And this one probably came fully dressed like that. And the only way to get them to return to the Hot Topics, where they can then like nest for the season, is to ignore them. You can't react. In our high school, I went to a special school. It was a homeschool group, but I went one day a week. And it was for special boys and special girls too. And I went there one time on Thursdays, and I only kind of did homework on like Wednesday night, and the rest of the time I worked at a deli. And so that was my high school. But we did have, at this special school for special boys, we had two goths. We had two units of goth, and they would go into the bathroom with red lipstick and they would write "Hail Satan" on the mirror. And what they were hoping we would do is that we would people would hyperventilate, people would fall on the carpet, people would go in there with acoustic guitars and try to sing out the smoke monsters from Lost, and they were hoping that's what we would do. But really, the only way to deal with Michael Stewart and get him to return to his local Hot Topic retail is you just got to ignore the guy. And so that's my advice to the people in Kansas who are dealing with the goths, is you just got to ignore them, and they'll go away and they will go back to the Hot Topic and they'll learn an honest trade, maybe pickpocketing. Good night.